Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the very first episode of the second series of the Herd Racing League. Tonight we have a single lap of the Figure 8 route in Watopia, and your key points to tonight, we have the first KOM at 7.2 kilometres. We have the first sprint at 14.1, second KOM is at 21.8, second sprint is at 27 flat, and we will finish at 30.1k. So the points available for each KOM and sprint will be a maximum of 50 points, and the winner of the general classification will win 100 points. We have about 1 minute to go before the D set off, so let's quickly switch over to Gordon and find out who he's following and what he reckons their chances are.
So, good evening, everyone. Following tonight in the D's, Steve Wilder, which looks like he'll be top-end sort of D category type rider, I'm hoping, and he's got a good chance. Looks like a fairly decent field in the D's tonight. About 70 riders signed up with at least probably half of them on Zwift Power, so I'm expecting to be competitive. There's a few familiar faces in there as well, I can see from the herd. Jonathan Bishop, Ian McCleverty, and a few others, so I think they're battling out for the top of the DCAT certainly in there, so we'll see. But interesting course tonight. Hopefully something for everyone. A couple of climbs, a couple of sprints, a bit of rolling in between, so it'll be interesting to see how they get on, how they start. Fairly flat, easy-ish start, so I'm not expecting them too fast a start before you hit the KOM. Everyone knows what's coming, but we're about to start. 10 seconds to go in the D, so looks like we've got 47 riders in the pen. Good number to compete with, and I'll be interested to see how they get along with the Cat C's and the B's catching as well. But just as we watch Steve starting, possibly he's first out the pen, so going well there. But they're pushing out quite a wee bit, 3 or 4 watts, but no one's going too crazy. As I said, I think they will just group up nicely for this start section till they hit the first KOM, which is, I believe, is around 7 kilometres in. Is that correct, James?
The first KOM is 7.2.
Okay, yeah. So we've got quite a flat section after the start. I'm not expecting any great action, probably till we exit the water tunnels. So a little ramp out the tunnel might be the first point to try and break people. But Steve started well. The front group's just settling down. There's 1 or 2 seconds between them, but I think they'll all come back together. No one's pushing too crazy numbers, but there's still 3 and 4s going on. So got to make sure you don't get split yet. Also see 1 or 2 TT bikes in there, so whether that is an actual choice that they've made or whether they've just changed it in the pen late and it's coming. But just as we're leaving, Steve has managed to hold on that front group, so looking good at the moment. And just see how the chase group gets on with him. But if you can hang with his front group at least till the first KOM and then see how he goes from there.
Thanks, Gordon. So tonight I'm going to be following Ken Weinstein, much to his disgust. It's his first race in the Herd series. He's been a key participant of the Herd of Yaks on the Thursday WTRL team time trial. So we're definitely looking forward to seeing how Ken gets on. Just a quick note on the course. So I think it's a fantastic race course. Just a tiny smidge over 30 kilometers. We've got 2 pretty short climbs, so there's good options for anyone who wants to go hell for leather for the general classification, or alternatively people like myself who might not be able to hold the pace of the front of their category, and they'll have an option of going really hard on the 2 sprints and the 2 KOMs. Just one thing to note in this series, last series we restricted the categories to a watts per kilo limit. So for example, in category D, if your best 20 minutes had a 95% average of over 2.5, you'd automatically be disqualified. However, this season we're going on cat limits only. So if you are genuinely a D and if you enter as a D and you hold, say, 2.52, you won't be disqualified. But you might be upgraded for the next race. So I've always said to all of our racers, if you think you're going to be upgraded during this series, enter the category that you think you'll be upgraded to. So we'll definitely see how that pans out. And I think it's definitely fairer for the ladies, especially the lighter ones. We've had some of our Cs who are quite light, holding over 3.2, but not able to breach the 200 watt boundary for Cat B. So I think it's definitely going to be a fairer restriction for everyone. So definitely looking forward to seeing how everyone gets on over the next 10 races, of which this is the first. Quickly switch over to Ed. Ed, who are you following tonight?
Sorry, technical difficulties there. Hey, I'm going to be following Scott Henry tonight. Scott's a reasonably strong Cat C rider. His FTP is sitting right about 3.1 watts per kilo, but he seems to be jumping in and out of the pen, and so I have him for the moment. Hopefully we'll stick with it. He's not the strongest overall wires guy. He's somewhat light, so hopefully that'll benefit him on the hill climbs. His times have been fairly good, 4:45 for one direction and 2:15 for the other. So pretty quick up the hills. We'll see if he can hold with the stronger guys on the flats. But I think he's going to be right up there with the best of them. We've got 17 herd riders in the C-Cat out of 60. I'm losing my fan view here. Sorry, I think we have about 37 riders total in C-Cat. There we go.
I think it's actually way more than that, Ed.
68.
Yeah, no, we've got nearly 70 riders, and we've got 5 seconds to go. 3, 2, 1. It's lights out, and away we go. Ken is off, sporting a lovely orange headband and a very bright luminescent yellow jersey, and he's straight into the main pack, holding around about 400 watts. Pushing out 105 RPM already, so he's off to a quick start. Is Scott thereabouts as well?
He is not on. Here we go. I've been bouncing back and forth between Scott and myself, so I don't understand why the fan view is doing that. Yes, Scott is he's about 25th place right now in the 68, so he's mid-pack, pushing 3640. He's just trying to get caught up and move up in position, I think. We'll see if he can get up with the lead group and hold that line. But as it is, it's one big, massive mob heading up towards the KOM. Back to you, James.
Yeah, thanks. So Ken is in the front group, which looks like it's probably about 20 or so. And I can just see Scott's just gone past Ken. They're all mainly hanging together. We've got one guy just off the front slightly. Can see Larry Japson there. And see Ben Poynton, Lisa Jones, Paul Lutman, Alan Chevel's in there as well. Yeah, we've got a good group here. Everyone's bunching. I suspect we'll be mainly like this until we hit the first hill in about 6.2 kilometers time. Quickly switch over to Gordon. What's going on with these?
Yeah, so the D's, they've just come out the water tunnels. Been a wee bit of a split. Probably looks like about the first front 10 riders have managed to make a bit of a breakaway. So I'm following Stevie's in the second group. It's quite a large group as well, probably 10 or 15 riders. So he's looking good in this group, the group that he's with. The front group, I'm not sure how many of them will qualify. I can see there's a couple of C and a B rider that's probably pushing up the pace. But even the rest of the D riders that are around them are pushing high 2s to 3s. So it'll be interesting to see how they cope or whether they'll start burning up before they even hit the KOM. So Steve's looking good. He's dropped back to his group at the moment, and that's what I suggest for him to do. If he just sits in this group and waits for the KOM, it'll be interesting to see how many of that front group start to drop out and slowly get caught by this chase group here. So looking good at the moment, but just waiting for the cam before the KOM now. They've got a wee bit of the switch back, so there's a zags up towards the reverse KOM when I'm expecting for the Cat Ds, probably about a 5-6 minute climb for this group. Depending how many of them actually go for it. We always see some people go for the primes, some don't, so there'll be another chance to split this group up. But big group at the moment, 10 or 15 riders, but I suspect that'll spread out quite a lot when we hit the KOM.
Yeah, so just to quickly recap on the race rules. So it's a single lap of figure eight. Racers will score points or primes on Zwift Power, depending firstly on their final position. So the first place in the category will score 100 points, second will score 99, and so on and so on and so on. But also we have 4 primes. We have 2 climbs and 2 sprints, and they are set to the fastest time, so it's not first over the line. So if you set the fastest time on a sprint or a climb, you will score 50 points for that sprint or climb. If you come second, it'll be 49, and third 48, and so on. So there are lots of points available for all the races. Some may choose to go and try and win the race outright and get the 100 points. And you may get some people sat a little bit further behind who think their best chance is to put out maximum efforts on the sprints and the climbs and get their points that way. But quickly, coming back to a race, in the seas, we are coming up towards 3 kilometers now. So that'll be about 4.2 kilometers before first climb. Got Ken's still in the front group. We don't have any breakaways as of yet, and we've got lots of familiar names in here as well. Ed, I'm guessing Scott's still in there as well.
Yeah, he's in there, and I'm having my technical difficulties keeping him as a on fan view. I've lost him. This is being bothersome.
Okay, we'll
yeah, lost Scott too. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, James.
We'll come back to you in a moment. Gordon, are your guys getting fairly close to that first climb?
Not quite. So they're still in the little sort of switchbacks up, sort of before you hit the Italian village. Although we're not going around the Italian village tonight, just on this point yet. So they're on the switchbacks. The front groups, they've actually pulled out a gap of about 40-50 seconds. So they're definitely long gone now. Looks like there's a couple of higher category riders, a C and the B type riders driving the pace. They're holding 3 or over watts. So there is a couple of Ds, including Ian McClaverty, managed to hold on to that group, although it looks like he's possibly been dropped. So Ian at the moment is sort of no man's land between the fast front group and dropping back to Steve's group, which if I was Ian, I'd say drop back to Steve's group. That's where you want to be, because you never want to be out on your own on this course. But no, Steve's looking absolutely fine. Still sitting in this group of 10 to 15, just at the top of the switchback. So we've got the sort of flat run along over the bridge before we hit the bottom of the KOM. But it's looking good. Looking like Ian will join up with them, that front group. I suspect there'll be not many D riders that will hang on to the back end of that group. If they are hanging on, it's only going to be a matter of time before you blow up. But yeah, he's shown his 18th place on Zwift at the minute. But nice little group here, just to see what he's got saved ready for the KOM. But it's looking good. The pace isn't too high. He's managed to do even 2 or less in the draft. So maybe all of them know what's coming and just taking it sensibly, ready to hit the KOM at full gas. But we shall see in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, we'll come back to you for the start of that climb. I think we're having a little bit of trouble hanging on to Scott Henry. There might be 1 or 2 internet connectivity issues there as well. So we'll try and keep up with him as much as we can. But in terms of the main C group, everyone's still hanging together. There's an enormous group at the moment with a couple just off the front, but only sort of like 5 meters or so. We're coming up to about just coming up towards 5 kilometers. We do the big horseshoe before we get the switchback. So gonna quickly switch back to Gordon, because I think you're probably just about to hit the KOM.
We are. So Steve's group's just passing I'm not sure what it's called, the garage where the KOM starts. So just bottom of the ramp, starts at about 2% up to the first corner. Then we've got a bit of a steeper ramp. I'm not quite sure it reached double figures, but certainly 8 or 9 for that first sort of 100 meters, which they're starting to move up to high 2s now. Ian, who was stuck in the middle, still about 15 seconds ahead on his own, but this little group is starting to pace up a wee bit. We'll just see what they go like when they hit the corner, where it does ramp up a lot more. But I suspect this group will spread out a lot, but it depends whether they'll come back together on the way round. And there's quite a sort of flat, rolling-ish section, only sort of 2 or 3% for most of the KOM. it's really this first section is where you might see a split. Doing this ride myself on a TT just the other night, that's the danger point. If you see a split on that first little hill, it's very hard to get it back together. So I bet this group of 10 might drop 1 or 2 off. There's also a big chasing group coming behind, about 30 seconds back, but they're not going too crazy, still 2s and 3s, so I don't think there's anyone purposely trying to split the group at this point. They are just pacing it up here. They probably all know that it's counting for the prime as well, so they can't go full gas right at the bottom. They've got another bit to come, so we shall see. Looking good, pushing up now. I've sort of up 3-4 watts per kilo, hitting the 8% at the moment, but Steve's just sitting in the group, and Ian's still holding that gap 18 seconds ahead, so I'm not quite sure what his thinking is there. I'd possibly drop back to this group, otherwise I think Ian will burn himself out, but Steve's looking good in the group.
Thank you. So Ken and Co are on the switchbacks now. 1.2k to go to the first hill. Looking to see who I can see. So we've got, I think, Ben Poynton's in there. I've definitely seen Lisa. I've seen Paul Lutman, Alan Cheville, Rob Homer's in there also. So lots of herd representation at the front. Got 1 kilometre to go until the KOM. Ed, what's going on with you? Are you still with Scott, or have we decided to switch someone else?
Oh, it's just randomly switched to D. Elliott this time. Now, last I saw, though, Scott was he was up in about 4th, running behind those 2 flyers in the C group, and then he dropped back about 38th. I was kind of figuring Scott would hang with this front group and try and make a move on the climbs and see if he could pop over the top and put some distance between himself and the rest of the group, as his climbing appears to be quite good. Really fast KOMs on this route. But so far, and we're back. So he's sitting at 13th now. We're just heading across the bridge, so we'll be hitting the start of the KOM in just a few moments. James?
Yeah, so we've got 0.4, 0.3k to go until the KOM starts, and we will shortly see our racers hit the climb. See Ben Knopfling's in there as well, and Ben's already told us tonight he's not racing, but he finds himself in the front group, so maybe he's just been playing with us all along. But we are just about to hit that nasty red line that tells us the climb is coming, and here we go. So we're shortly going to ramp up to gradients of around about 10-11% as part of this climb. This is the longer of the 2 climbs we've got today. It's about 2.2 kilometers in length. Unlike the other way round, which is basically just a fairly short drag. With this one, we've got some fairly sharp bits, which we'll see very shortly, with a couple of descents and then a little bit of a climb to the line. So it's definitely the easier of the 2 climbs, but it's quite a bit longer as well. So we'll see anyone go absolutely hell for leather to try and maximise their points. Time will tell. Gordon, what's happening in the Ds?
So the Ds are sort of 3/4 of the way around the climb now. The first couple of riders from the deep end have actually gone over the top of the climb, but I suspect they'll get disqualified, possibly showing a time of about 4.5 minutes. But Steve's group, same group, they've actually held together very well around this KOM, still about 10 of them all together, just as they're approaching the last bend. So they'll probably see the KOM banner fairly shortly. It looks like Ian is still pushing out on his own in front. The gap appears to be about 57 seconds, so Ian's certainly been going for the KOM. It'll be interesting to see what he does after that. Otherwise, it will be a big TT effort if he tries to stay away from this group. But Steve's group, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, they all hit the KOM pretty much at the same time at the bottom, so if 1 or 2 of them can make a wee bit of a sprint up to the KOM line, they could gain quite a few points here, because there's 10 or 12 riders all vying for these points up the KOM, which will be at the moment sitting on very similar times. So it's worth a bit of an effort just for a push up to the KOM. See if you can grab 1 or 2 places, because you can easily gain or lose some points here. Just as we're going, Steve's had a bit of a push there, 4 or 5 watts. So he has pulled out ahead. going up for the line. There's a couple chasing him as well, but he's going full on sprint now. He's up to 9 watts a kilo, sprinting up to the line. So he's looking good. Looks like he's going to get the first up the KOM from this little group. So we'll just have to wait and see what the overall time's coming like. But he's certainly beat that little group that he's with, and probably he's just going to sit up now and wait for the forward sprint that we hit next, the shorter version. So we might as well sit up. They're not going to catch anyone ahead of them. So best is just to rest up with the group and wait for the sprint.
Sounds good. Well done, Steve. So we are about halfway through the climb in the seas. The seas have shattered. There are splinters all over the place, and there's a couple of groups way up front. Ken is currently sat in 21st place with about I think 5 or 6 other riders. There's a bit of a blob about sort of 25-30 meters up the roads. Ken's still putting down the power, doing a great job so far, and we'll just see how he gets on for the rest of the climb. Ed, who are you following now?
Well, I'm currently watching Lisa Jones, as my computer decided it's going to randomly throw riders at me, but that's fine. Lisa is just heading up the KOM. She's at 9 kilometers. With a small group. As you said, it's pretty splintered here. There's a group out in front of her. She's about 7 seconds behind Ben Poynton in that group, and she is with Ben Knockling and his group right now. So she's hanging in there pretty good, pushing about 3 to 4 watts per kilo to hang with this group here. So doing real well. She's really become a strong rider in the last 3 or 4 or 5 months. I'm really impressed with Lisa's improvements. And we're back to Scott. Scott is about 9.5 kilometers. He's right now heading up for the KOM, pushing hard. Not sure what his time's going to be, but he's doing quite well. He's up 12th position in the C group right now, and let's see how he's going to do. He's just about to come through the banner. He's going to be probably less than 4 minutes. Let's see. It's not going to tell me. It's not very good. Popped off. Anyway, and I just lost him. So back to you, James.
Thank you. Ken is just coming over the banner now, and we'll find his time very shortly. It's 4:48, putting him in 21st place. Which, given he was 21st, 22nd, should be a massive surprise. But there's a long way to go. We've still got 20k to go, and the first sprint is at 14.1. So this he's in a group of about 5 with I can see Rob Homer's in there, Alan Chevel's in there as well. So he's got a bit of herd company, and he's definitely making the use of the 7% downhill gradient with a bit of an aero tuck. And so we've got 5 in this group. I suspect they'll stay together for a while. I think any chance of grouping up with the group in front have probably gone in the wind. So they look like they're a good 25-30 seconds in front. So quite a bit of a bridge to make up on the flat. But there's a group of 5, so we'll see how they get on, and we'll quickly switch back to Gordon.
Yeah, so Steve's now, he's past the sort of start-finish banner on Watopia, so probably picked up another power-up. I saw him drop the draft power-up that he must have got from the KOM, so quite an interesting route. There's quite a few KOMs with sprints and the start-finish banner, so a chance to get some power-up, so that could be a factor, certainly on the sprint sections. But Steve's back, so this group slimmed down a wee bit over the KOM. It looks like there's probably 7 of them, so he's just sitting in the draft in here. There's no need to push till we get to the sprint. Looking at the riders ahead, we've got Ian out on his own, and then another rider, Jay Collier, looks like he's been dropped from the front group, and then the very front few that are in the DCAT look like they're long gone. So I think we can ignore them. They're probably either going to get qualified or possibly too far ahead. So at the moment, Steve's playing it perfectly. He's sitting in this group of let me count. I think there's 8 of them probably in this group. So he's just sitting in the draft, waiting for the sprint, exactly as I would be doing. There's a few riders coming behind, but it's about a 30-second gap, so there's not really any incentive for him to push it in the moment. He might as well just conserve his energy. Next opportunity after the sprint, I would have thought maybe when the Cat C's come through, that might mix up the group a wee bit if they make any difference. But judging, just trying to see where the Cat C's are, it's probably going to be another 5 or 10 minutes possibly before they catch up. So plenty of time just to sit with this group. Looking good at the moment. I don't know what sort of power he's putting out on average there. 2.4. So I mean that's very good. Top end Cat D, what you'd expect. So if you can hold this sort of power for up to the, I suspect about an hour for this course, putting a good effort for the sprints, and the KOMZ will be doing very well. KOM, he looked like he was about 12th on the board. Once you take rid of a few of them off for the aren't on Zwift power, I think that'll be a good result for the first prime. So I'll be very, very happy with his position.
Good job. I think your guys are about a kilometre away from the first sprint, so we'll come back to you before that starts. But Ken is still in his group of 5. There is a group with Ben Knopfling and Lisa Jones just 10 seconds up the road. And it looks like they might actually come back together, but we'll see before too long. Ed, are you watching Lisa at the moment?
Yes, I'm watching Lisa. She is sporting the polka dot jersey, though it's not on her right now. So good job for her taking that on the last climb. She's right there with Ben Knopfling and Paul Lutzman, Rob Homer, Ken Weinstein, the usual suspects. I think she probably is about 17, 18 seconds behind that lead group with Ben Poynton. But it doesn't appear that too many people are drafted much. It's pretty spread out as we come through these S's. And she's passing people doing quite well. She's running 18th out of 68 in the C Cat. So currently at 12.9 kilometers. So doing very, very well. Strong rider. Back to you, James.
Yeah, we're just going to quickly switch to Gordon.
We are just approaching the start of the sprint now, so just have a look to see who's actually going for it. One or two riders in this group. And Steve as well, he's pushing up as well. 6, 7, 8 watts per kilo. There's certainly a few of them playing the game, going for the sprint. Steve's looking good. He's pulling the front position in this sprint. I'm pretty sure he's going to have the group. I'll just wait for the times on the boards to come up. Yes, he's first place on the sprint overall, so definitely a good result there in Cat D. I wouldn't have thought any of the groups behind will do that. So looks like a maximum points there for Steve. Well done.
Good job, Steve. Ed, I'm going to switch back to you just because Lisa's in front of a group that I'm watching. She's got, I think, about 600-700 meters until the sprint.
That's correct, James. So she'll be rolling up on the sprint. They've got this final kind of a little bit longer incline after coming through the rollers there. And then we'll be coming down the hill and hang a hard left and hit that short sprint across the bridge. And we'll see how Lisa does. She's pushing 4 watts a kilo up this hill as it is, just trying to stay on Ben Knopfling's wheel. Doing real well. She's at 13.6, so we're about 500 meters out. A little bit slow right now because of the hill at 23 kilometers per hour, but she'll be picking up speed. Now, really on this one, it's so short. You have to be full speed long before the start of this sprint. You can't wait till you just hit that banner. So we'll see. It looks like the best rider's at 12:05. That's really smoking. And down the 10th person was at 14.3. So we'll see what happens. People are spooling up right now. Kind of Lisa's catching the draft. I don't know if she's got a power up. A few people throwing out feathers, and Lisa threw a feather out. She's pushing 5-6 watts per kilo. We'll see how she makes out here. If it's not, yep, there she is, 7th with a 13:32. Really good finish for her. So that should give her a few points extra on that. She got Ben Knopfling by a few tenths of a second. So great job there. Back to you, James.
Ken's actually gone second place on the sprint with a brilliant effort to hit 12.55. The only other person in front of him, apologies, I don't know your first name, but it's F Alberto, who won the sprint by about half a second with exactly half a second with 12.05 seconds. So fantastic effort for both of those at the front. And our next piece of action isn't until 21.8 kilometers when we'll hit the forward KOM, which is the much shorter version, and that'll be a nice piece of action to come back to. But we'll just quickly switch back to Gordon and find out what's going on with the Ds.
Yeah, the Ds are fairly comfortable at the moment, so we've gone past the sprint, obviously now through the Italian village and just on the little switchbacks back down to the ocean tunnels or whatever you call them. So I think they're probably all just having a bit of a rest. They're not pushing any great pace, around 2 watts, maybe just edging over that. But pretty much as we were before. Still got Ian on his own out the front and not really anyone catching. And this group of 8 or 10 seem very happy just to take it easy between the primes and just wait for the primes and put an effort up them. It looks like most of them are actually going for the points. So sometimes you find riders are going for GC, some aren't going for the sprints and the KOMs, but this group looks like they're all playing for the points. So looks like they're all absolutely happy, just sitting, group of about 8 of them. I suspect they might catch Ian at some point, but Ian is doing certainly a good effort to stay out ahead of them. Just depends how much that's taken out of him before he hits the KOMs and the sprint. So looking absolutely fine at the moment, grouped up together. Looking like some of the C riders are starting to appear on the board behind them, 20, 30 seconds. So that'll be the next opportunity to see if any of these riders want to jump on the draft and split this group up. I suspect possibly not with the first few C riders, but once the slightly slower end of the C riders come through and they'll be able to draft them, it will break up this group a wee bit. But only time will tell. We'll see.
Yep, so Ken is back in the group with Lisa, and you can see Rob Homer's in there, Ben Knopfling, got C. Taylor, Dennis Wade's in there. So we've got a big bunch now.
Yep. Alan Chevelle is in there with the herd. Lisa took the jersey, the green sprint jersey for women on that, so good job there. So yeah, this is a pretty good group here, James. I think we're watching the same one, probably about 12 riders, all heading down the switchbacks, and we'll be heading back towards town.
Yep, about 5k to the second of our 2 climbs, and this will be a shorter one. We'll be looking at times around about 3 minutes for the climb, maybe closer to 2.5 for the leading climbers, but not too far to go. Ken's doing a great job so far. Second in the sprints. Slightly lower on the on first climb. I think he came 21st, 22nd there, but we'll probably get a few of the people in front of him stripped out after taking into account it's swap out only riders and anyone who entered out of category. But doing well so far, and also Lisa doing a great job in C's. Great to see her in the green jersey. We'll quickly switch back to Gordon and find out how close they are to the C's.
So the first few C's have just passed. It's kind of stretched this group out a wee bit, but so there's a couple of the D riders off the front, split the group up, but it doesn't look like they've managed to get onto the C's group's wheels. So I suspect this will all come back together, but there's more C riders coming up about 20 seconds behind. So I think this time the front C groups were a bit too fast, but I suspect this group will split up once some of the slower T groups come past. But it's a bit of a mixed bag behind. The D riders don't seem to be in one large group. They are sort of in 2s and 3s, so it'll be interesting. We've quite a wee while before we still hit the KOM. We're just in the water tunnels now, still with this group of 8. I can see up the road, it looks like Ian's found another D rider to ride with, so it might be his plan just to stay out. It looks like Jennifer Collier, or it's actually Cat B by the look of it. So, although that probably will help Ian round this ride, but just as we're entering the water tunnels, there's a couple of sea riders 10, 20 seconds back, so I suspect they'll catch up, but unlikely any of this group will stay with them. I suspect till possibly till the groups you're watching with Ken and Lisa catch up. They can't be too far behind, and then I think it will be a bit of mayhem with this Cat D group, because just with that first bunch passing, it looks like a couple of them want to try get away, but so far no chance. But I suspect it'll happen once your group catch up with them here, but they'll possibly catch even before the KOM. If that does happen, it could make it very messy, but we shall see.
Yeah, just having a quick look on Swift Power. I think the group that we're following at the moment is still about a minute and a half behind Ian and Jennifer. So but they may catch on the KOM. Might be a little bit afterwards, but still a little bit of a gap there. Ken is hanging on with this group of about probably 10 riders. I've got a few Ds just in front with one C just in front of them. But I think we're just about to rejoin as we hang the left in the water tunnel at 18.6k now. So about 2.5 before we hit the climb. And Gordon, I think your group's got about 2 kilometers to go before the climb.
Yeah, we're about 19.2, 19.3, so probably just over half a kilometre ahead of you. I'd also suspect it could close down a lot as we exit these tunnels. A bit of a ramp coming out the tunnels of a couple hundred metres, so don't know what sort of pace your C group's doing there, but this D group's not doing any high pace at all. I mean, they're probably running along at only just over 2 watts per kilo, so there's not really incentive for them to catch. At best, they might catch Ian. That's one rider up ahead, so they're only going to gain 1 point by hammering it. They might as well save for the KOM, but I suspect your group is possibly going to catch pretty quickly. They're motoring along a lot quicker than this Cat D group, and then we'll just see if any of them have got the energy to jump on with the Cs to pull away, but probably not the best of timing, trying to keep up with a C group just before the KOM, so that might be a bit messy in a moment, but 19.8 kilometres at the moment. Looks like you'll be catching shortly, I suspect, maybe even before we exit the tunnels.
Yeah, it's a massive group, so there's loads of drafting going on, and the leader swapping places all the time. So I think the deficit could well come down pretty quickly, and I think we're already looking at like around about 40 seconds according to Swift Power. So that's come down a lot already. Ed, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, as you said, it's a pretty good group here. We just went through a bunch of Ds, and some of them are attempting to hang on, but I think they're starting to fade off there. But massive group here. Everybody's moving on about just shy of 40 kilometers per hour, so that's 25 miles per hour for those of us still in the U.S. using the archaic measuring tool there. But I think Lisa's just going to hang with this group and see what she can do on the next climb. So that'd probably be the smartest move is just kind of hang in here and see how much energy she can conserve sticking in the draft. There are so many people here. She probably is barely having to pedal, but it's looking good. We're just starting to come out the incline out of the water tunnel, and we'll proceed from there. James?
Thanks, Ed. Yep, like you say, we're just coming out of the tunnel. Gradient will vary between about 3 and 5%. So it might get like a tiny little split here, but nothing major. And it looks like everyone's staying together quite happily. So we are at 20.6k with the second climb in just over 8 kilometers time. Gordon, is Steve going to hang on until the climb?
Yeah, there's not any need really to hang on here. They're going quite a nice easy pace, I'd say, for Cat D, even below 2 watts per kilo. A couple of Cat C riders sort of in this group as well, but I think judging by the times, it's just going to be a mass sprint up that KOM with this group, and I suspect a lot of the C group will catch them on the hill. So we've probably 8 or 9 riders this group swelled up to. I think there's 1 or 2 of the faster Cs found their way into it. So, but that chase group behind is now down to 24 seconds with the KOM to come. I suspect we're going to see a lot of riders hitting this KOM together, and it would just be who holds it together over the top of the KOM, because quite a bit of flat and downhill after that. So if you find yourself alone over the top of the KOM, you can lose a lot of time. But just as we're turning left off the Ocean Boulevard under the bridge, and then we'll be starting the KOM in a moment. But a few decap riders up there ahead, but sitting in the group doing 1.8. I think they all know the game here. They're all just waiting for the KOM ready to hit it. And we see that C group as well chasing behind 20 odd seconds. So I suspect we're probably about to see 50 or 60 riders all just hammering up the KOM in a moment. So that'll be the next highlight.
Yep, the C's that we're following have just gone under the bridge, so they'll just do a little bit of it's a 270 odd degree turn before we get back up to the top again, and then we will hit the climb. So just coming up to the bridge now, and the start of the climb is it's at the very end of the bridge, and here we go, 10%. Let's go.
Yep, they're very close behind the Ds. I can see the power-ups getting thrown down as we turn around that first corner. It's probably the worst. Peaks up about 12%, but it's just getting strung out now. These C riders as well, we soon catching them, and then it could just be a mess over the top of this KOM. I suspect it might be quite a few of them will group together, but it's quite easy to lose riders as well. But Steve's doing good, pushing up here at 3.5 watts, but it's looking like a good pace for a D rider.
Yeah, I mean, Ken's going backwards, holding 4 watts a kilo, so that says a lot about the pace of the C's at the moment. Paul Lutman's there, also holding about 4. I've lost track of Lisa. Ed, where is she?
Lisa's running about 25th here. She is starting to make some time. She's just behind Robert Homer. She's pushing 3.4 watts per kilo up the hill. Robert Homer's just shy of her. Ken is about 2 seconds in front of her. So this is the steepest part, and once we get around this, hopefully she'll be able to make some time. She is starting to pass people as we go. A few D riders. She's 1 second behind Ken, 3 seconds behind Ben Nothling, and we'll see how she does. She's doing really well. So far, it looks like a really fun course. I may have to break out the bike and hit it on Sunday morning myself. This is probably one of my more favorite, between yesterday's team time trial route and this one, probably my favorite all around, because the hills are steep, but they're quick, and nothing really long sustained hills. So a heavier guy like me has a little bit more advantage on the rest of the course. So I might give it a shot and see how I do. But Lisa's doing great. She's at 21st position, and she continues to move herself up. She is right on the wheel of S. Constabile. She's right behind Ben Nothling. Ben has jumped up, trying to probably stay out in front of her. Paul Lutzman just ahead. So she's making excellent time up the hill. Back to you, James.
Yeah, thanks. So we saw Lisa sort of fly past Ken earlier, and Ken's still picking up the numbers. He's just used his feather to get himself up the top. Interesting climb, because you've got a very, very sharp start followed by a little bit of a downhill, and then you've got another little bump to get yourself over, and then a little downhill, and then it's a little ramp towards the banner. But looking at the times here, see Scott Henry put out a 2:31. F. Alberto, who won the sprint early, was 2:35 and 10th. Lisa Jones was in 12th and 2:45, and Ken has come in almost, I think exactly the same position as last time, 21st with a almost dead on 3 minutes. So be looking to see how he gets on in the second sprint in not too long at all. So the second sprint's going to be 27 kilometers, so we've got about 4K to go until that happens. Gordon, did the C's pass Steve?
They did, yes. I saw the likes of Ben and Lisa pass towards the top of the KOM. Steve himself set, looks like he's 9th position on Zwift, so I think that'll be a very good result once you discount a few of the riders as well. So I suspect he'll be certainly probably top 5 maybe overall in points for that, so I think he'll be pretty pleased with that. And he has pulled away from a lot of the D group that he was with. It's very strung out over the top of this KOM, so he's just trying to find some riders to group up with. Looks like he's got John Richardson, another D rider, right in front of him. So if he can stay on the wheel there and just draft them, you'll get a good gap over the chasing Ds, and then it'll just come back down to the sprint. But he's looking good so far. I think he did fairly well in the first KOM, took the first sprint, and he'll have a top result there on that KOM. So it's looking good overall. So possibly a podium finish at the moment would be my suggestion, but we'll see. He's just actually, it looks like he's probably on the wheel of Ken as well. Sort of 4 or 5 riders grouped up together. So just needs to sit on the wheel here with Ken and the rest of them and wait for the sprint would be my suggestion.
Yeah, no, I can see Steve's in the group with Ken and Co. John Richardson out the D's there as well. And they've got a group of 5 riders. They are about 18, 20 seconds behind the group of Lisa. So just quickly switch back to Ed and find out how Lisa's getting on, how that group's looking.
She's hanging with right behind Ben Nothling on this downhill. She's having to push it a little bit. Obviously, her weight is quite a bit less than the other guys, and they're not having to work as hard. She's having to work actually going down the hill. She's holding good position. This should set up nice points in the women's category, in addition to the mix. So I think she's doing real well, but she's pushing hard. She's at 24.3 kilometers, so we still have just under 3 kilometers till the final sprint, and then the finish banner not too long after that. But she's doing about 50 kilometers per hour, so I'm taking advantage of the downhill and a little bit of draft off of Ben Nothling. These two seem to be sticking together, and I think there's a little bit of neither of them want the other one to get ahead of them, so they're sitting there. They're fighting each other, but they're working together. So it's a good duo here on this course. James?
Yeah, the gap's definitely extending a bit. We're now looking at Lisa's group about 30 seconds in front of Ken's group. Ken's got a group of 5 with him still. There's a few just behind. So yeah, I'd say group of 5. And we're looking at 30 seconds in front. So I'm not sure if they will get back together like we did on the descent of the last climb. So it might be a little bit too much to try and bridge back, but we're definitely down to the bottom now, and we are coming back towards the bridge. Gordon, how's Steve getting on? Is he still hanging on to this group?
He's still hanging on to this group. I saw him doing a bit of a cheeky aero tuck down the back of the KOM there. Some riders do, some don't. You don't get much of an opportunity to go aero that way, but any chance to get a rest on the legs for a couple of seconds is worth it. So, no, he's sitting in this group, which looks absolutely perfect. There's only him and John Richardson, another D rider in this group. So, I think as long as they sit in this group, it's just going to pull that advantage away from the riders behind. And certainly, it looks like the group's swelling up. This looks like maybe 7 riders. I'm not sure if these are more C riders or possibly even B riders starting to catch up just about yet, but.
No,
Yeah,
I think it's C's.
The group seems to have swollen to about 8 riders at the moment. So if you can stay in this group for the sprint and get a good draft through that, it'll be hitting another good points haul, I would have thought. But no, looks absolutely fine at the moment, playing it perfectly.
Yep, looking good for a bunch sprint in about a kilometre's time. And on that note, I think it's looking like Lisa's group's going to hit that first. Ed, how's Lisa's group hanging together?
They just caught up with a couple more people. Ben and her are still out in the front with S. Constabile, D. Elliott, and R. Wright. Paul Lutman did he was in front of him. He fell behind, but then he put on a burst of speed, and he's in there. So we got a group of 6 here moving right along. We're about 600 meters from the next sprint start. They're moving along pretty good, about 44 kilometers per hour, about 2-3% downgrade. So we're going to come through the little village, hit the cobblestone here. So we just hit the cobblestone, coming around the first right-hand turn prior to that next left and the immediate start of the sprint. So everybody here shortly, if it was me, would start spooling up a bit. I'm not seeing it a whole lot, but maybe I would jump the gun a little bit more. But here we come up, and there's the sprint banner. Ben Nothling has cranked it up a bit, over 5. Lisa's hitting 6 watts a kilo. A few of the others, Paul Lutzman's at 6, 7. So they're moving around long. This is a longer sprint here, so this is a little bit more painful, closer to a 30-second, 35. Paul Lutman just went flying by at 7, 8 watts per kilo. Ben tried to match, was not successful, and Lisa comes screaming through, so real good. Paul Lutman just took first, Lisa second, and Ben third on the sprint. So
Yeah,
really nice.
we've got
Ben
Ken
points it on.
we've got Ken flying in the sprint just behind, and he's definitely going to take the lead for his group. And second place again. So 2 seconds for Ken in the sprint.
Really nice.
Paul Lutman takes a win with a 25.38. Ken is in second place at 26.29, and Lisa Jones in third with 26.86. Ben Knopfling in fourth with 27.15, and I think it's Alan Cheville just behind with 27.20. So it's like herd top 5. So no complaints there at all. So now we've only really got about 2 kilometers to the final line. So back to you, Ed, and just to find out if Lisa's managed to stay with a group.
No, and she's pushing 3.5 watts a kilo, but people have been passing, and she's about second behind Ben, and I'm not sure she's really trying to. Well, I take it back. So she's with the group. She's with Ben. She's R. Wright, S. Constabile, and herself. Paul Letzman's 4 seconds behind, so he must have flown past and slowed down. But I'm thinking he'll probably catch up here. So this group of 4 is pushing over 50 kilometers per hour. We're just heading through some of the S turns here before we head down the hill to the finish line. So I anticipate Lisa will stay with these guys. S. Constabile and Ben Nothling are trying to make a little run at it. But Lisa is answering with a 4.6 response to Ben's attack. And so I think she's gonna hang right in there. She did really well. 3rd place in the sprints and 12th on that second climb. I didn't see how she did on the first climb, but I think point-wise, she's gonna do really well in this race. Back to you, James.
Yeah, so Ken looks like he's suffered a bit from that monstrous effort on that second sprint. He's back in 26th place, and he's dropped about 5-10 seconds from the guys in front. Almost as much as 20 from some of the other C's. So you can see Steve's about 10 seconds in front of him. Gordon, is Steve on his own?
He's not, but he's with John Richardson, another D rider from that group. Kind of let the C's go away after that sprint. It's now down between John and Steve. It's a bit of cat and mouse here. I think either of them wants to sit in the draft with the other one, so it's bit sort of yo-yoing between each other. Steve takes it easy, letting John pass, and then just wait to see at what point one will make a break or whether they'll wait to the last couple 100 meters. But yeah, they're just sort of yo-yoing at the moment. Neither of them wanting to lead out the others coming up to the finish line. So we shall see in a moment. How's the front looking? Lisa must be nearly there.
I tell you what, these guys, just as soon as they came around the corner and headed down this hill, Lisa and Ben are both pushing well over 4 watts per kilogram. And this is a long push for them. We've got a couple other C's in here with them, so there's 4 of them pushing 54 kilometers per hour. Lisa's pushing 4.7, 5.0. Really pushing hard. We can see the finish banner now. She's already used her van. Alberto's pushing 9.2. R. White 10. Ben was over 10 for a moment, and Lisa comes through with a 46.38 for the race. So well done, and a nice. She took the sprint jersey for that one also. So great finish for Lisa.
Quickly switch back to Gordon for the final stages.
Yeah, so we've got Steve just following in. He's still just sitting in the wheel. Don't know what the total distance is at, 29.5k now. Probably got 200-300 meters to go, possibly a bit more, but just sitting in the wheel, just waiting. I'm not sure at what point he's best sprinting out. If it was me, I'd go about 200 meters. So really a sort of light effort sprint if it was myself, but at the moment he's just sitting on John's wheel. Looks like Ken's actually just come past as well. So
he's just flown past. Ken has definitely gone early, so he's holding down about 4.5 watts kilo. See how long. Hang on to it for him.
Steve is off as well at 10 watts a kilo, pulling away. With John's trying to chase him down, but Steve's even possibly just about catching Ken on this sprint. But yeah, definitely taking John on the sprint. So good effort.
Yeah, he's definitely taken Ken. I don't think he could quite catch Rob. So Rob's taken the win out of that little group. And I think that basically brings us to the end of tonight's coverage. So as ever, big thanks to Damon for the pictures we're able to watch tonight. Thanks to our riders, Scott initially, Lisa, Ken and Steve, with definite mentions towards Ian McClaverty as well. Thanks to my commentary team of Gordon and Ed. Hope you've all had a good time watching. We've had a great time commentating, and hope to see you next Friday for race 2. Thanks very much.